Paint correction doesn't have to suck. Justin, the supply guy for ImageFX. Let's talk about paint correction. Let's talk about the basics. If you're an expert, this video is not for you. Move on to another one. This video is intended for people who are in the detailing industry, maybe don't have as much experience in paint correction as they'd like. They get lost in finding the right pad, the right compound for the vehicle. One thing I am not going to tell you, hey, this pad and this compound is going to fix this vehicle, because only the paint is going to know that. So let's start at the beginning. In today's world, we have three basic types of tools that we use. Rotary. Rotary is old school. It spins around on a single axis, quicker to burn through paint. There are a lot of people who are outstanding at rotary. I am not one of them. You will not see me teaching a rotary class anytime soon. It's not my thing. Dual action, a random orbital polisher. That pad spins, we'll call it a figure eight for lack of a better way to explain it. But that pad moves quite a bit. Much easier to learn on a dual action, in my opinion, than a rotary. And then you have this in between, which is a forced action, gear-driven style polisher, where no matter how hard you press, the pad's not going to stall. That is a really basic overview, and obviously you have subsets within each one of those. You've got pad types. Foam is probably the most popular. Then you have wool. I love a good wool pad. A yellow pad or a blue wool pad is outstanding. Apparently mine are falling on the floor, and I'm not going to take that out. It'll add some comedy to this. The third type is fiber. I honestly wasn't a big fan of fiber until I tried the, I call it the Oreo pad from Buff and Shine. Really like that pad. And then you've got your compounds, okay? I'm showing two different brands here. I've got the P&S system, I've got the 3D system. There's at least two more different products within the 3D system. I'm going to kind of go over the differences. And again, I want to point out, I'm going to stop this at 3 minutes. You can pick up the full thing on @JustinSupplyGuy on YouTube or the website, which is justinsupplyguy.com. So you grab a random orbital or a gear-driven polisher. And the next question is, am I doing a one-step or am I doing a two-step correction? And what is the difference? First, I hate the terminology about two-step and three-step correction. My customer is not paying me based on the number of steps I take. They're paying me based on the outcome. But in general, one step, as the name implies, we're going to go around the vehicle one time. A two-step correction, if you're working in a body shop, if you're working in a very high-end ceramic coating shop, you may do a full cut and a full polish, and you may believe that that is going to yield a better finish. If you like a true two-step or a true three-step system, you're really going to enjoy the 3D system. For my customers that like that two-step, some cases three-step, body shops, they do tend to steer towards the 3D system. I like the P&S system. I train my customers on the P&S system, and I pretty much always start here. Now, that's not to say I don't need these two, but I'm going to start here. And I want to be really clear about this. I don't care what 3 pads you use. I don't care what compounds you use. I don't care what brand of polish you use. But this basic system applies to you no matter what brands you're using. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach for my one-step correction product, and I'm going to typically start with my Buff and Shine, my Blueberry, my Maroon, and my Oreo. Now you might say, hey, I'm a wool person. Great. Start with a yellow wool, a blue wool, and a yellow foam pad. Awesome. If that's what you like, pick your 3 pads. I'm going to take this product. I'm going to do 3 test spots on the vehicle. Now, I do my test spots the same way I polish. Shoulder width, 2 pads high, 45 seconds to a minute cycle time, okay? And for a cycle, I'm going to go left to right, 50% overlap. I'm going to go north-south, 50% overlap. I basically hit every spot multiple times at that point. And then I'm going to move on to my next pad, and I'm going to do the exact same thing right next to it. Then I'm going to take my third pad, and I'm going to do the exact same thing right next to it. I'm going to wipe all 3 off and have a look. At that point, hopefully, one of those combinations is outstanding, and you move forward on the whole vehicle just like that. One of the things I just don't understand, you'll see somebody, they'll go around a whole black truck and then they'll post on Facebook, hey, I've got holograms all over the whole truck. How do I fix it? You didn't notice that when you did your test spot? Even if you didn't do a test spot, you didn't notice that at the hood or the driver's door, why did you keep going when there was an issue? So test spot, test spot, test spot. If you think it takes too long, you're flat out wrong. It's going to save you a ton of time in the future. Now, here's where the two-step, or for me, kind of the hybrid comes in. Let's say I did this and it looks great, but it's not perfect. A, did my customer pay me for perfect? Probably not. But I want that hood to look sharp. And I want driver's door, passenger's door to look sharp. So what I might do in that case is go the extra mile. I might do intervention just in those areas, just to really, really make those focal points look great. Come back and hit it with rehab or therapy and call it a day. But what if those test spots showed me this isn't really good enough? This isn't going to meet my customer's expectations. I'm being paid to do a better job than what I'm getting out of a single step correction. What do I do now? Going back to, hey, what does the paint say? Same idea, right? We're still going to do test spots. We're going to recheck things, except this time I'm either going to go with my 500 and my 520, or I'm going to go with my intervention and my therapy. I'm going to repeat that process of the test spots, and I'm going to see which one gives me the best finish. And we just lost another pad. Okay, so the pads that you see falling down all over the place are my rotary pads. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I'm not a rotary guy. I am a dual action guy. You will almost never see me with rotary. I would rather have a foam disc damp sanding pad and an interface pad than I would go to rotary. That's me. If you like rotary, personally, I'm finding I like my Buff and Shine pads for my dual action polisher. I'm loving my Lake Country on a rotary. The only exception right now is if I am doing kind of this third scenario, which is my customer didn't pay me for a paint correction. I'm doing a detail, and I just want the paint to look a little bit nicer, right? I'm not gonna worry about how much defect removal I get. I'm just doing a paint enhancement or a gloss enhancement. That is an area on the DA I will pick up either my Lake Country orange pad, my HDO pad, or I will pick up my Agent Orange pad. Why? The pad is soft enough that I'm very, very rarely going to get a hologram, but it's hard enough that I get a little bit of cut. I can throw 3D1 on there. I can throw rehab on there. I can throw speed on there, ultra coat polish, go over that paint really quickly, and it's going to look way nicer than it did when it came to the shop, and it's going to give me outstanding results. Justin the Supply Guy, hope this was helpful.